The time in Central Africa is exactly 09:30. Lovely good morning to you and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Chatback right here on Radio Christian Voice. My name is Angel Kasabo. Always great to know that you are locked in this morning. And a reminder that this conversation is live on Facebook. You can come through on Facebook on RCV News. RCV News is a platform where we post everything current affairs. So come through and let's get interactive. RCV News. Then also the number is 0956 200 490. 0956 200 490. That's the number that you can get in touch with the studio. This morning we look at an interesting topic. We are looking at the topic National Dialogue. This is the topic of discussion this morning, National Dialogue. And to help me look at this particular topic, I'm privileged to be joined by the United Church of Zambia, UCZ, Lusaka Presbytery Bishop, Reverend Dr. Lodwell Siame. Good morning and welcome to Chatback.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for having me here. And good morning, our listeners out there.
All right. Rev, it's always a pleasure to have you on this platform, albeit the very first time.
Yeah.
How is the year going for you? How are you doing?
Thank you very much for having me, and for sure, I'm appearing for the first time and entering the studio of Radio Christian Voice for the first time. I like what I've seen here.
Yeah.
No, the year has been fantastic, and of course, you know, life is about ups and downs, challenges out there, and also fulfilling moments that one encounters in life.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Reverend, the topic of discussion this morning is national dialogue. And when we were having a conversation yesterday through the person that was having a conversation with you, we had planned that we just talk about national dialogue.
Yes.
But so many things have happened between yesterday and today. And this has to do with the passing on of our former Republican President, Dr. Edgar Lungu, who passed on 5th June in South Africa. There was that deadlock, and now there's so many issues surrounding it. I think let's start to the top, then we get to all the way to the bottom. From what we got from the family, Reverend, is that they had sort of rolled out some conditions that government needed to abide to. Government also had its own conditions. And it's from there that it looked like there was no sort of agreement. And the family proceeded to say, okay, fine, if this is what's on the table, then we are going to bury our beloved one in South Africa. But as of yesterday, Zambia's Attorney General, Mlilo Kabesha, filed a public interest lawsuit in South Africa seeking to block the burial of the late 6th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Lungu. Now, the lawsuit filed against members of Mr. Lungu's family and 2 other individuals requests an interim court order to prevent the burial from proceeding until all legal and constitutional questions surrounding his final resting place are resolved. This is what we got in the media as of yesterday. And we are now getting information that at 9 hours, this is past 9,
Yes.
the hearing is supposed to commence, and it's from there that we're going to be given instruction, or we're going to be informed on whether this burial is going to take place. So let's start from the top. What do you make of the now situation?
The situation. Angel, to say the truth, this is really unfortunate that this issue can turn out to be the way it is currently. It's really unfortunate. As a pastor and a religious reader, I really feel disheartened, because in the first place, I think this is not what one would desire to see. This, for me, was a very straightforward matter, which should have not even gone to litigation, which should have not even resulted in the 6th Republican president being buried in South Africa. Had in the first place people done what was supposed to be done, this was avoidable. And it's unfortunate that it has gone that route, and I really feel sad, and I hope many people are saddened by the situation. We are looking at an individual, that person that I knew at a personal level, and the person that I knew as my leader, and knowing the way that person was, I'm sure looking at all these wrangles that surround his death, I feel pastorally I don't feel really the right thing has been done.
Reverend, you say this thing is a simple issue if the right thing was done. What was the right thing that needed to be done?
In any conflict, Angel, I think there is an aspect of where people have to sit down. And when you sit down, believe you me, from what I know and what I've read, in any dialogue, people should put at the back of their mind that if you and me, we sit, we are dialoguing. In every dialogue, the situation must be win-win. But if one part want to take it that we win, and we carry the day at the end of the day, then that's not dialogue. It's only in litigation where we see a loser and a winner if you take a case before the judge. But
as
in
is
the
going
case,
to be the case
yes,
now.
yes. In the case of dialogue, I think it's a win-win situation. It's give and take. Yeah, you'll be able to tell me these are the conditions that I'm setting. If you and me we are to arrive at a desirable state, this and this. So I should also be willing to listen from you. You should also be willing to hear from me.
It should be that compromise.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, who have you picked as a mediator? That also matters. Because if you also pick a mediator who appears to is aligned, so to say, definitely the other hand will say, obviously, this one is sitting on the table in order to convince me so that I toe this particular line of thought. So in that case, no wonder I'm saying this was avoidable if the right things were done in the first place.
Let's talk about the mediators. When you say it also matters with the mediators that are mediating over a conflict, or sort of we could say maybe a deadlock, were you impressed with the delegation that was sent to South Africa to have a conversation with the family, and also church mother bodies that have said we may not come out openly, but we've been doing some work in the background? Have you been happy or impressed with the mediators
I think
that have come forth?
For me, that's where the problem is. Because in the first place, the mediator that we picked, those are politically inclined individuals. And you look at the issue, that the sensitivity of the matter that actually we are talking about. Two of those mediators, especially those who are coming from the government side, are people that if you go in the media, you go on the statements that they've been making about the same head of state, the same person who has died. Definitely, that in itself, even people that are sitting on the table, they will be able to know that even if these two are speaking, they are speaking just because they just want to convince us. But what we think the right thing to do is this one. For the Secretary of the Cabinet, yes, that is his responsibility. But what was so difficult with maybe the state looking for very neutral individuals, quite a number. We've Catholic bishops here, we've Anglican bishops here, we've bishops from the UCZ, the Pentecostals have bishops, not only bishops, some other pastors, not even only pastors, even in the civil society. We have people that have shown neutrality. Those, if you pick them, I'm sure seated on the table, both parties will be very comfortable to actually listen to their counsel and also respect their mediation. And in the end, I think a desirable result may come out. But the way things tend out to be, if it's true, whereby the family, they are saying, no, now that you've released the program as government,
Yes.
we are not comfortable because most of the things that we agreed upon, we can't see them on the program. Secondly, we agreed that the body of this person should lie in state at his house. Tomorrow you hear RDA is on the road and they've blocked the road that leads to that place. Believe you me, how are they going to take the body to Chifwema? How? Because those are things that now would really, the other party will say, oh, no, maybe we've been duped. Upon arriving in the country, what we've agreed upon, maybe those are not the things that are going to happen. So in that case, no wonder I'm saying most of the things were avoidable. Had they carried the people level-headed, I'm not saying those were not level-headed. They should have picked actually the better way that would use very neutral.
In your considered view, Rev,
Yes.
What would that delegation look like? I know you've talked about, from different not church mother bodies, but even just different congregations. But let's talk about state people, like the way we took the former Vice President, Kavindele. Which ones were going to be your alternative that you'd say, I feel that this delegation is going to mediate properly in this particular issue?
These people are not short of people. May I just mention one person?
Please.
Suppose you picked the former Justice, former Chief Justice, N.S. Sakala. What was going to be wrong with that? Yes, you picked quite a number. We've quite a number. Those who politically, they've positioned themselves that they don't publicly come out in open and give their opinions on certain matters. I think those, for me, would have been better than those who are politically.
So for you feel the delegation that was sent there to mediate is also the reason as to why we're in this particular situation?
I think so.
Okay, let's get now to, I'm still yet to get when you say the right thing should have been done for us not to be in this particular situation. We all know of some of the conditions that the family put out.
Yes.
And we also know government stance to say, look, Dr. Lungu wasn't an ordinary person. He was a statesman. He was the 6th former Republican president. And we need to do this because he served over 20 million Zambians.
Yes.
From the negotiations and the conditions that were set out, what do you think should have been the right way, in your words, that things should have been done so that we're not in this particular situation?
I think if my memory serves me very well, if at all what we picked from the media is what it is that they discussed and agreed upon, one thing for sure that brought the stalemate is the fact that there was an issue of a private worship service, which they never agreed upon. Why go ahead with that? A private church, worshiping service at the airport, which they never agreed upon. Why? Call for prayers when people are saying no. That's the first statement. Secondly, you agree this body will lie in state, and this is what we are going to do. You broke the road. Why? And I passed through that road just recently. I don't think RDA is working on that road.
Yeah, actually, after that, RDA said we're actually going to work on this road after.
Yes.
After everything is said and done.
Yes. And then other conditions that were set, were they followed? Because when the program came out, I'm sure that's where the problem was. Those who were in the engagement group, they should know very well what are those things that they abrogated. Because all of us, we are speculating because we've just read things that came out from the media. And I'm actually reacting from those things. And it's on that basis the way I'm saying. If there were things that they never agreed upon, why add those things at the end of the day?
Rev, do you think some of those conditions that the family set out, I want to be very kind with my words, are sort of realistic? Do you think that's a route that should have been taken by the family?
Thank you. Now, we can now get into what I wanted to say. In the first place, the reason why I'm insisting that even people that went for negotiation, how I wish they picked very, very neutral people. Because in the first place, definitely you and me, we belong to families here in Africa. We've come across situations when a person is healed, not treated very well maybe, or maybe even me, I served in rural areas in Muyombe and other places where people are even suspecting the person behind this is this one. We've come across situations where they're even saying we don't want to see the uncle at the funeral, we don't want to see this person at the funeral, and the person have presided over certain confusions like that. But when you allow yourselves to dialogue, you tell the family to say, see, you know, you cannot follow everything that a person who was not feeling well actually was saying, because some speak from a frustrated point of view. And you know the state in which a person who's not feeling well is. Definitely due to hunger, all of us, we say things. But us who are alive, we are the people now to take that moral responsibility to say, at the end of the day, pafwa bantu, pashala bantu. After we bury, how is this family going to be? How are we going to live? How are we going to coexist? I think there comes a time and the council where people say, allow these people to attend, let's do everything. But at the end of the day, no wonder we have what members call somebody, and I'm sure at that particular time we need now to sit down so that we look at what could have been done, what we could have prevented, and going forward, what are some of the things that we need to avoid. I think that's the ideal situation that probably me, I would have wanted to see.
So,
rather than having a situation where, no, this one should not attend because we are told he cannot attend. And this, yes, out of, when people are hungered by something, things are said. But why then do we have counseling? Why then do we have people that can reach out to people? Why do we have dialogue? Why engagement? Why reconciliation? It's for the sole purpose of healing the hearts that are feeling like that. But even when you are going with a view that we want to heal the situation, I'm sure you need to go with the right prescription for healing to actually happen. So in this case, instead of aggravating the situation, I would have loved to see an atmosphere where, after all that, even the conditions that were set, there is no condition that is set. People will simply say, okay, anyway, this has happened, we'll talk about this later. Let's go. We bad and we do whatever is supposed to be done. But we are in this situation because even the dialogue process, like I've said, my suspicion is that even those politically exposed individuals could have not even said anything by virtue just of being sitting on the table. Some people are opinionated definitely to say, even if they are saying this, we know that they stand on this and that and that. No wonder, sometimes, they say what you say today, it may affect what happens tomorrow. When you're an elderly person, and when you live in a community where one day you'll be called upon to do one or two things, especially as pastors, those who are living politics and retire, you need to be very sensitive with the line that you toe and what you say today, the approach that you take, because tomorrow you'll be called upon actually to preside over very serious issues, even in families. And if you have already told a certain particular line, the challenge is that even when you are called upon, you fail to provide leadership and fail to provide a solution.
So to put things into context, Trev, you're saying at the moment at which the former head of state passed on, what the family should have done to say, okay, fine, there are wishes that the former head of state would like us to implement in an event of death. But what we are going to do is take the precedence, bury him the way we've buried other former heads of state, and then deal with all these afterwards.
Yes, exactly.
This should have, according to you, or according to your opinion, this was going to be the best way in which we don't end up.
Even in a situation.
So for this particular situation, would you now then blame the family that were in this situation?
No, I cannot even blame anyone. Here, my opinion is how I wish earlier on, when this dialogue process was initiated, the right things were done. And one of the things that I'm insisting on, who were the individuals who sat there? What is it that they discussed? What were they aiming at? Okay? No wonder, one person asked a question. We had a retreat of ministers in the UCZ just recently. A colleague of mine who's a Catholic priest, Father Matep, he asked a question in that retreat that is religion still relevant today? Do people feel a need of having a pastor, having a chaplain, a priest, or whatever? Or people can go ahead and approach God on their own? It was a very interesting topic. The question that I draw out of that also for today is that where was the church first, for instance, if these things were happening? What role did the church actually play in this particular instance? I'm sure even the state, let me preempt a bit, they should have learned to the church immediately when they knew there is this impasse. Definitely politicians, they should have avoided that approach. They should have run to the church and say, oh, we are in this situation. And then from this, how do we pick individuals that will go and sit on this table? Yes, and who will help us?
Yeah,
and they should also be willing to listen from whoever they will pick as a mediator, the suggestion that they will bring on the table. They should also be very open and willing to listen. And for me, for one, I think what they should have avoided is a situation where people are saying, no, this one should not come to the funeral. The funeral should be like that. I think the approach should have been, let's first of all cancel these individuals who are in this situation and this pain, so that when we arrive at a situation where we bring them to a situation where they understand what is at stake, it is at that point then now where we need to agree on the
even when those conditions were set, that's when the conversation sort of intensified and there was dialogue there. And at some point, it looked like they had agreed to say, okay, fine, as a family, you are going to repatriate the body. And as a state, this is the role that we are going to play. So now, at that particular moment, it looked like everything was going in a very good way. And then of the two parties, one felt that the other wasn't abiding to the conditions that was set. In this particular case, the family felt that government, wasn't fulfilling some of the conditions, and they were afraid that when we come to the country with the body, we're afraid that it may be hijacked. On that particular score, do you also partly blame government for not sticking to their sort of agreements with the family?
First of all, when the state failed to, if at all it failed to live by what they agreed there, what was the mediator then doing? Because if you've sent me as your Shubukombe somewhere, and I come back with a message, and immediately you're here, you water down everything that I did, what is my responsibility? No wonder I'm saying dialogue is a win-win situation. Even before that program came out, not so.
Yeah.
The role of the person who sat as a mediator was to go back to say, quite okay, you stipulated all these conditions, and we told you that we are not the final authority. At the end of the day, the final authority should be the state. But we feel the state feels what you've proposed, it's not workable.
Yes.
And that's what we call respecting the other hand when you are mediating. So that you go back, you say, no, I think this is not attainable. And your colleagues from this other end, this is how they look at this matter, if we proceed the way you proposed it. So don't you think we need to reach somewhere where you can compromise so that we meet each other somewhere?
Meet at a certain point.
But a situation where you've not even gone back to the people that you mediated to find out whether they are comfortable with what you do. Boom, what you see, it's in the media, you've already released a program. Because even that program, in the mediatory process, what we do is, I'll go back, even when the husband and the wife, they are at loggerhead when we are counseling. We don't take one extreme. No. We know once we've cancelled and this person, maybe the two of them, they've given conditions. When we reach a point where now this has to be undertaken, you go back. You say, no, this is how this other part feels about the conditions that you've set.
So government was in a rush to release that program.
Of course, they should have. Even
they should have gone back to the family to say, look, this is a program.
Yes.
And the family was going to give them, say, we're not happy with this and this and this.
Yes.
And those things were going to be resolved outside the media.
Yes. We've come back. Now that we've come back, we've informed the powers that be about it. We already told you that we are only here as emissaries. And maybe my role is mediation. So now that we are done, our colleagues also, just like yourselves, even our colleagues that we found here, this is how they feel about this. And what do you think? No, we are going ahead. If it happens, like we are not going to do that. And that's where now you first of all spend much of your time. And, counseling is a process. And also mediation, it's a process. It's not a one-day exercise. So that you go in all the nitty-gritties. And at the end of the day now you say, okay, finally, let's draw the program. The program looks like this. Before we release it to anybody, look at it.
I would like to get your opinion.
Yes.
So after everything is said and done, you've talked about how that we should have moved in the first place. The first place is, let's have the funeral, let everyone attend, let government do everything, then we discuss on this afterwards. Now, when these little conditions came in, at some point it looked like we're making progress, then the family U-turned and said, you cannot follow some of these things that we want. What is your reaction or your two thoughts on some claims by, we've seen sections of society, the clergy that have sat on this very seat that you are seated on, to say, look, if need be, because they feel that one of the toughest conditions is the presence of the Republican president to be at the funeral. If need be, if this is the only condition that they're saying, look, we will bring the body so long this condition is followed. If need be, if the family say, we don't want the Republican president to be in attendance, he can step down and delegate someone to attend the funeral. I would like to get your reaction or your two thoughts on that. Is this practical? Is this something that is doable?
Those who've studied the law and have been listening and have equally tried to read some portion of the law, they are saying it's okay, even if it's delegated. But personally, I don't feel that would be good for society like ours. You know, everybody calls for healing because when you talk of healing, peace, tranquility, coexistence, unity, those values, I think they are part and parcel of who we are, part and parcel of the package of things that we aspire for, like development, these other things. Because, Angel, there is no way us human beings will forever avoid each other. In this case, if I was in the shoes of the head of state, I would bite a bullet. Yes, I can call Lungu's children, even on the conference call, and I will speak to them. And what I would say to them is, I've heard. Now, my dear children, I know we are in this game of contestation of ideas. In the process, all of us, we act as politicians. We could have said things, just like the deceased also. He could have said things to me. And there are things in the media. This one could have been treated this way. This one could have been, and I know, I understand your pain. But in this situation, believe you me, I never meant any harm. And not even at any point that I know of that I brought this person to go to the hospital. But you know how government system works. Even my colleague who is late, he knows that it is not everything that the head of state will know. Sometimes these civil servants and these others who are your political followers and whatever, sometimes they act on your behalf when you don't even have given instructions to certain things. However, I take responsibility because I'm the head of state. So I know you're hating. But I don't believe my children and you, Bamulam, that would be the right way of us proceeding. If there is anything that you feel I can do so that I remove the hate that you feel currently, tell me. Because now I'm speaking as a human being and not a head of state. Because what really takes me aback, a funeral, it's not like a wedding session or something like that. That's a very big, huge thing. That if you say that, I feel equally affected as an individual, that you've isolated me just that I cannot not attend the funeral. And then you hear. And definitely, you know, sometimes in conflict resolution, when a person comes out like that and we've met on one-on-one and we've spoken like that, you know, the tone and direction sometimes changes. We are human. Kids will also say, oh, now that we felt it. The wife will say, now that we felt it. I think, first of all, let's progress. Mr. President, maybe we'll see you after over other things that we think we need to discuss with you and the feelings of your deceased brother. Now that you've reached out to us, I think here we are. We cannot harden our hearts. Maybe we proceed. Not only that, coupled with the same people that we've trained as pastors, those who are very close to the family members, I think we have a responsibility also. We don't need the state to tell us what to do. We know that definitely it's our responsibility. What is it that we are discussing with family members? What is it that we are telling them? Because that also matters. What are they hearing from us? Also, who pastor them? It's very, very critical. Then you say, this and that. Maybe, humanly speaking, this person has even spoken to you. Maybe let's proceed. Let's progress. Let's see how it happens. And then going forward, there is no harm even to check on those children, even on the phone.
Yeah, and in the situation in which we're in, it's very clear that the president didn't take that bullet.
I don't know.
Because according to him, yesterday he said, even when we heard of this story, we tried to engage the family, but they didn't want to respond to us. So already, you're starting on that particular note. Where is now the president going to gain more strength to re-engage the family when in the first place those sort of negative feedback, the moment that they tried to confirm if the former head of state had passed on?
Yeah, I was not there. And I may not be them to think on their behalf. I'm passing my opinion. Even those, if he reached out, then it's unfortunate that if he was not given that. But I tend to feel this is how you tone down when there is tension. Definitely you have to look for ways and means to break the ground, to make sure that at least we start talking and we progress. Definitely those are some of the methodologies and other things that people can rely on and not taking the stance that we've taken. But again, going for another appeal that I would make is that also the United Party for National Development. I don't know how they organize their media and how they organize their communication system. I think I also feel like their pastor to tell them that you need also to put your house in order. I think what we've been seeing in the media, listening to social media, it's so disappointing. It's in one vein, you appear to consoling your friends. In one vein, you appear to be so sincere that, no, we are mourning together, we are with you, we feel your pain. In another vein, the tone of language, it simply changes. What you see are individuals who are more or less like they are mocking. And in that kind of a situation, I'm sure even dialogue, it's difficult to actually come to a logical conclusion. I'm sure what they should have done, maybe during this period, they should have restricted maybe communication even to one individual or two individuals, where everybody passes their opinion, and this individual is told to write down everything that they've said, and things they feel this will be offensive, you remove, you don't mock, you don't do what, so that you allow even mediators, as they are mediating, there is no any external influence that hardens the hearts of the other camp. I think that would have also been a very ideal situation.
That is also making the situation
yes,
more
exactly,
volatile.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. After everything is said and done, now that the family came to a conclusion to say we're going to bury in South Africa. First of all, what are your thoughts of burying a former head of state in a foreign country?
It's not something I can even support, not something I can even desire. Me, I knew President Edgar Lungu at a personal level. He's one person I've even sat on the table together and eaten food together. He's one person that has called upon me, even for counsel, but I cannot disclose on which matters. He's one person that has even been at my office, we've spoken.
You shared a good relationship.
Exactly, I would claim.
And some of those wishes,
yes.
some of those wishes that you that we received from the family to say these are his wishes. You had a close relationship with him. Do you think those are wishes that from the relationship that you had with him?
I cannot speak on his behalf. Because I'm sure at the time that he goes to the hospital, it has taken the time since I spoke to him, and all that time, I may not claim that I may even know the state in which he was.
Let's get to the burial.
So
South Africa.
Yes. So personally, even the burial in South Africa, I would still feel is not buried because it's not something I've witnessed. Speaking as an African theologian, what we know is that human spirit, if you talk about African religious traditions, they say when you die, the spirit joins the ancestors. So in this case, which ancestors? You know, that beats my mind. We are in Africa, but with this geographical jurisdiction. Definitely, the second thing that one would say, we know my wife died 6 years ago, even up to now. Sometimes, from time to time, when I remember, I pass through Memorial Park. I will leave a wreath there. It consoles me a little bit. Now, you look at a distance where somebody is buried. I think it's really unfortunate. However, I may not fault the family. Circumstances in which they found themselves, maybe they are carrying the heavy load. I'm sure they feel that would be the ideal thing to do. I think I cannot speak on their behalf. I cannot also condemn the position that they've taken. But I wish it was the other way.
So then do you support government's litigation over this particular case?
No, I don't think it's necessary. I cannot just go into demerits and merits.
So, Reverend, you said that you're not for the idea that he should be buried in South Africa. But again, you don't support the government's because the basis of this particular litigation is that the body should be buried.
It's where you failed to do what was supposed to be done. I think litigation, for me, I cannot even say it should be the last resort in this case. So this case, like the head of state, if you heard him very clearly, is for the idea that actually this has happened. Very unfortunate. And if you see his demeanor, you definitely know that this leader has taken a turn the head of state. You see that. He is consistently said, we are engaging. And for me, engagement would have been the very ideal thing to do. But we missed an opportunity.
Do you think maybe also these are just commentaries that are coming through from different, people, that maybe this litigation is also another way in which to delay the burial and then maybe have fresh negotiations. Or you think maybe it's too late for us to have those negotiations? Because also at the end of the day, Rev, when you are doing, when you want to reconcile, the moment you get to the courts, then that's last resort. You have failed to sit down as one and two to resolve this. So I said, okay, fine, we have failed. Let us now go to the court. So then also there's an argument that once this matter just went to the court, reconciliation now becomes very difficult.
Yes. And do you know, Angel, why I'm laughing?
No.
I think if the West went to the West as in last, the government should have simply said, the head of state don't come, you guys come. That's all.
I asked you that question, Rev, and you refused. You said...
No, we are now talking of extreme, where the last is last, not so.
Don't you think maybe we're already past that stage?
That stage?
Yeah.
Yes, like it has been 2 weeks, us talking about the same thing. And in the end, I think the body cannot also lie in the mortuary perpetually.
Yeah.
I think something has to be done. Like the head of state said, we cannot mourn in perpetuity. I think this has now to come to a certain stage so that at least life now continues.
So even according to you, even before we get to litigation, you would have preferred a situation, say the head of state won't be there, you guys come and do your thing.
I'm talking about the extreme.
Yeah.
Instead of even going to a foreign court, why not then wake up in the morning to say, you guys don't bury. We've agreed that the head of state is not coming. Chifuema Road is opened. Can you change the program, start coming back?
So also for government to take this route, it means they are not bending that the former head of state should not attend the state funeral.
And if you heard me very clearly earlier when I said, in a process of engagement, people must be willing to play by the rules of engagement. Because the rules of engagement, my brother, rules of engagement, naturally, are that when you and me, we go to resolve a particular impasse, you must be also willing to say, where I'm going, you have to lose something and also win something. The other person coming to the table has to forgo something and also pick up out something. But if you find yourselves in a situation where one particular grouping is saying, no, I think even if you bring these conditions, we are not going to abide by this. What do you do in that case? And then the litigation, if it will be the solution, I've said I'm not a lawyer. If there are provisions that will do that, but morally speaking, in the theological terms, we talk about public morality. Morally speaking, you will come to a situation where the matter is in court. I don't want to decide. It comes out that the board has to come to this country. And then the family says, okay, pick the board. We are not coming to the funeral. Morally speaking, what will be the situation?
These are our fears.
Yes.
Now that we've got to this party.
Yes.
And that's not to say that we are supporting,
yes.
We're taking sides, but we're trying to sort of see what will happen.
Yes.
Because that's also another fear.
We are all
in an event,
opinions.
the family says, take the body.
Yes. We've surrendered at this position. Government, you are more powerful than we
Because
are.
with this route, with the litigation route, there's a chance that that could happen, to say the family is now compelled to say, take this body back to his home. I
actually shudder to think what will happen, because the family says, okay, that's fine. We've given in. The state can do what they want to do. What happens? Are you going to go to the mortuary without a family member, pick the body, repatriate, do the honors, go to cathedral you worship, take the body, bury at Impasse Park, you do everything, and you disperse? Is that what the government is doing?
So in the first place, we shouldn't have been here.
Yeah. Because even the same litigation, for me, it even takes this now matter even at another level.
What level is that?
The level is that I don't think the family will bow down. Because there is no law that will compel them to say, you go and attend the funeral. There's no law that will compel them to do that. At that stage, they'll simply say, oh, you go and pick the body. We've allowed you.
So for this one, you're telling government they shouldn't have done this?
No wonder I'm saying in these 2 weeks, I think we should have cast the date. No wonder I'm saying it's not only government. Us who have the moral responsibility, especially us pastors, we've pastored this family and members of this family. What role have we played?
Rev, for us to reach even litigation, it means that the church has failed.
How? Which church?
The church, including yourself.
Yes, because even if me, you
because if government runs to the courts,
in this
then
case,
they're saying the church, we've had enough of you. You're not helpful to this situation. We are going and we're going to the courts.
Let me put the situation like this. Like for instance, today, can I walk up from my office? Can I just move out of my office at Kawata and say, let me see the head of state, so that the opinion I have, let me go and share with him? Can I be allowed at the gate to enter?
You should be allowed.
No.
But you should be allowed.
The answer is no. Because the systems also, for me to see him, I have to start from somewhere. All this red tape, for me to reach wherever, I'll reach. And then consequently, we discuss, we talk. I'm giving myself as an example. Now, if everybody is able to see this other part, you cannot see the other part. The challenge, we have a very big challenge. No wonder I was saying, even right at the time when the engagement was starting, how I wish those were closer to the head of state. The time they were picking, even secretary to cabinet, they should have even whispered to say, no, can you pick even some prominent individuals who think they are not politically inclined? 2, in the background, these are things, who is the pastor to this one? It should be this one. Some of us have been approached over, I cannot mention some of the things on the radio. There are issues that have happened in this country, some head of state starting from some other people. We are pastors in Muchinga and somewhere, where 2 of my members in the church, they are fighting for one seat in one particular constituency. And both of them are my members. One threatens to jump out of the political party, and one is the one who has been chosen as the preferred one. The political president of that party saw me, and I had to engage another one, and my bishop was there. And they said, no, I think this is not a desirable thing to see, because this we know they do. They worship in your church here. But what is out there, I think it's not something desirable. We cannot afford these people to lose relationship just for the sake of this. Us as a party, we've towed this line because we've done our due diligence. That's the reason we've picked this one. Now, this one feels this and this, and at the end of the day, no. I think this is not what we want. How can you help? I know we've intervened in such situations before. And when it comes to us religious leaders, may I even thank our members out there. They really respect us, and for that I don't take it for granted. When they see a pastor come, it's another figure seated with you. And when you hear a pastor speak, definitely you are listening to a voice, maybe a voice of God, a voice of your parent speaking to you. And
is
in
it
that
the
case,
same with politicians? Is this how politicians also
we have them, and I cannot lie. When we even see them behave the way they behave, sometimes we wonder. These people in the churches, they are not the way you see them. These same UPND individuals, same PF individuals, find them eating Holy Communion in our churches. Find them how they embrace each other.
So then why haven't they listened to the church on
how
this
their
matter?
kids sing in the same choir. How their kids actually, they are together. How their wives are part of WCF. How they do. But we wonder when they go in the public domain, what actually happens. Because you hear they insult each other. But find them. Even you, I can invite you to one of the churches and I'll tell you that one and that, where are they seated? Seated together and they're laughing together. But when they go out there, and our appeal is that the way you appear at the church, how you do things, please translate this into also politics, because it will be a better deal. So going back to what you are saying, I'm sure this, the church should have played a role even in the background, maybe, without even necessarily sensationalizing it, bring it to the media, so that at the end of the day, I think we would have.
So, Rev, now that we are on this litigation sort of stage, does this now automatically remove the church out of this? Because at the end of the day, this matter is in court, and you've got nothing to say.
Nothing. If anything, the law doesn't know the church. It's blind. If we dare do anything there, that would be.
So as a church, is this now, this is why you come to the end?
We are helpless. We can only pray for them.
In as far as the church is concerned.
Yes, because in the current situation, whatever move we take in that case, it will be contemptuous.
Do you think also whatever sort of result comes, it's still going to have a bearing effect?
A big one.
Because at the end of the day, with this funeral, majority of Zambians are saying, okay, fine, actually this should unite us. This should bring reconciliation. But now that we've got to these court issues, whatever the verdict, one may have to be comfortable with, or one may have to give in to what they don't want.
Yes.
And that's not how you deal with
the situation.
With the situation.
And unfortunately, that's a country we've created.
So now, do you think there's even going to be reconciliation after this litigation, regardless of where the matter goes?
I don't see genuine reconciliation, maybe superficially. I don't see any genuine reconciliation in this case happening. This country is really polarized. If there is any time that I've ever seen this country divided, it's now. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Actually, my heart bleeds. Go to social media. People, even for simple expression of an opinion, even like I'm speaking, when you go there on the comments, you'll see maybe the other camp that feels what I'm saying, they are not comfortable. Maybe I'm insulted right, left, and center, but even Jesus was insulted for saying the truth, crucified for that. Us, our duty is to make sure that we provide the light, because Christ says we are the light. And the light simply means the truth has to be brought out. And the truth simply means I'm not supposed to tell you all the time what you need to hear. If I'm your good friend, even where you are wrong, I just have to point it out that, hey, my friend, I don't think this is the right thing to do. And if you build a society like that, we have a better society. So how I wish from both sides, people that are speaking to them, they can speak with sincere hearts.
And just there, Rev, I was reading one sort of article, and this person was saying, I've never seen a country, Zambia, in a situation where we even start to mock
the dead.
This has never happened.
No.
This is only happening now. And I was reading some comments. Others were saying, no, it's because of the family. That's why we're mocking. Others were saying it's because of politicians. But regardless of where we stand, how as a nation have we come to such a situation? What you see sometimes on social media is very unfortunate.
Very, very unfortunate.
You would even wonder why we call ourselves a Christian nation, because what is on social media, there's nothing to do with sanity. It's attacking each other, center, left, right, forward. But also as a nation, how have we come to this situation in which we are in? And this particular death has just sort of exposed us.
Yes.
Say, you are actually this type of people.
Yes. I think in this country, if God can allow it, you remove politics out of whatever we do, be a better country. Now, I don't see that can happen. That to happen, no, it can't, because public affairs are always subjected to be discussed. But civility, I think it's the best thing to embrace, which unfortunately we don't see. Multipartism, even if it has positives, but it has also some negatives. I'm sure it has exposed us so much because this polarization we see, it's because of this multi-party politics. Because people want to belong to these ones and not to these ones. To these ones and not to these ones. Instead of us being civil and very objective to say, I belong here because I believe in the ideals of this particular grouping and not in these ones. And I can give my own reasons. And respect that fact that we'll never think the same. But what we've chosen is character assassination. And what still is so bad is where we have even started dividing ourselves along regions. And I don't know whether I will call ethnicity. Yes, that for me, I think that has even taken us where we are not supposed to be. So we always appeal to the consciences of our colleagues, the politicians, to say, you have a following, just like me, have a following, because I'm a pastor in the church. So I need to be mindful of what I say, the line that I toe. What is it that I drive my people to? Because leadership is about influencing. others. So are you influencing them positively or influencing them negatively? What is it that you emphasize on? I think those are the things that should crowd our conversations. And once those crowd our conversations, I think will bring a consciousness in our people where people will think politics is about these ideas and exchanging. Oh, no, you are saying the road to Copper Belt should be dual carriage. No, we don't think it should be. Maybe put 3 lanes here. Us, when we come in power, it will be 3 lanes. You justify why it will be 3 lanes. Not we are saying, no, a Bemba cannot do a good road. Maybe an Amwanga can do a good road. That's really progressive.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be about those things. It should be about ideas that also usher all of us to a desirable Zambia that we all want to see. And it's really unfortunate. Even this death, if you critically look at it, yes, the family, the late president belonged to a family and equally belonged to a political party and a group of people. And of course, the government in power also belongs to is coming with a political party. And we need to understand that this contestation will always be there. And in the process of contestation, I know the pressure politicians have to woo voters is that sometimes you even speak things that you think will appeal. And in the process of speaking, there are opinions that we create. And once we create those opinions, I think we need to understand each other. That at the end of the day, even if we create this, let's come down with politics here. Yeah. We are neighbors, we are brothers, we are relatives, we are all Zambians, we are human, regardless of the language that you speak. God created us, all of us, in the same image. So therefore, that human dignity is this thing that all of us we should be actually. And we need to make sure that wherever hungry things that divide us emerge, we shouldn't be celebrating. I think you should feel sad and say, no. You are UPND, I know. You are PF, I know. You are Tonse, I know. You are what? Not this one. Maybe let's go to the drawing board. Why are we encouraging things that are wrong? Why are we encouraging things that are wrong? I think that's the ideal situation one would want to see.
And for some that have lost faith in the church, to say, the church, you've been here all along, even before the death occurred. We heard, you calling for dialogue. But for us to even reach now litigation, it means that the church has failed, and they've sort of lost faith that the church cannot mediate over such critical issues because others feel there's also compromise among the church. So then as a church, what lessons are you picking from everything that is happening?
The lesson is that we can do better. That's the first lesson.
So when you say you can do better, meaning you're also accepting...
I'm accepting.
Yeah, also accepting that the church didn't do justice or hasn't done justice on this ongoing issue.
I will include myself on that because we've not been deliberate. And I said on one particular radio station to say, when we had the head of state being challenged by the Reformed Church in Zambia in showgrounds, to say, I think you need now to reach out to Edgar Lungu. It's high time you reached out. You need to dialogue. Enough of rhetoric. We saw the head of state stand up and he said, I can assure you, he was telling the moderator, the Reverend Band, I can assure you that from here, I need now to start looking for ways to reach out. At that stage, I agree that the church has failed. Why not hit the iron when it is hot? Because if we are able to organize ourselves in the Oasis Forum or SIDA, and we look back to our forefathers then, when you read Komakoma's book on pastorators of the bishops and the other church leaders, you hear that wherever a crisis emerged, you would see these church mother bodies, EFZ, CCZ then, and ZEC then. They will quickly come together and they will say, what are we going to do? Okay, let's maybe see the head of state. Let's do this. Let's issue a statement. Let's give direction. Let's do this. Now, we live at a time after the declaration of Zambia as a Christian nation, the proliferation of churches. mother bodies are no longer even respected. Because one church, if it doesn't agree with these people, it can jump into another mother bodies. Others don't even belong to any mother bodies. And you know, when you are too many, the challenge is that even the head of state, when he receives one particular grouping, you would think he's speaking to the church.
So then, do you think that's also a problem? Too many church mother bodies. If there's such.
No. What is a problem is failure to have the kind of initiative our forefathers had. When a crisis emerges, read Komakoma's book, you hear that they used to call each other. They will say, we are the church now. Come, forget about who worships where, what tradition you follow. Come, we sit. People are crying for multipartism. What are we going to do? We need to speak to the head of state. Kaunda was convinced. They went to Cathedral of the Holy Cross. They sat. Opposition here. Those who wanted by then, before MMD was formed, those who wanted multipartism seated here. Kaunda with his lieutenants. And the church was mediated. And the Kaunda was meant to accept. And he had to cut short his term of office by 3 years a year. And he accepted that we should go to multipartism. Why was Kaunda able to respect the voice of the church? It is that because the church demonstrated and it showed him that actually we are people that cannot come in the night. One of us come to speak to you. He drinks tea with you. And the other one, then when you sit on the table, you sit, those who are compromised, those who are saying the truth, and those who are neutral. And how can you drive with an agenda like that? And that's where I'm accepting that the church has not done so much if compared to our forefathers, what they used to do and our mothers. Because what we expected, immediately the head of state made that pronouncement. Church leaders, especially these general secretaries, they should immediately have called each other to say, here's an olive branch. He has just spoken for himself. So let's write a letter or let's go and see him. From this stage, you say, okay, now that you've accepted to meet this person, we are looking for a neutral place and not state house. Where you come, he will also come. Put them the way they sat at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross. What are your issues on your part, former head of state? What are you hating on? Because what we see you say, do, these are things that we don't think they are health for this society. And you, head of state, we've heard you on every podium where you castigate your friend, you say things, and you're rhetoric and whatever. Yes, and the way it comes out, it is not coming out that we are building anything in this country. And if you are aiming at truly a united country, I think you too, you have a very big role to play. So in this case, we are in this room. Speak your mind. Speak your mind. They would have spoken their minds. And then, like I told you, when you deal with these issues of counseling, especially in pastoral, it's a continuous process. And the healing of a heart, it's a continuous process. But once people vented out, they've vented out, I think they feel good. Because especially that they've spoken with a person they feel is an enemy, they'll pour out, and at the end of the day, they'll feel relieved. And it is at that stage where they'll say, but what makes you different? You two individuals. You know, you're coming from a Kaunda school of thought. Yeah, people that Kaunda took free education. You go in these universities. And Kaunda's plan then was that we need to have people that are educated in this country. And once they take over from me, we need to have the one Zambia, one nation, more inculcated. Once it is inculcated, Kaunda's belief and his colleagues were that benefits of those values must trickle down. And you guys, but when you fight like this, you think this is desirable. This will say, no, upon you. No, this one, I've heard this. In fact, even if you are refusing, I received an emissary who said you wanted to kill me. This one, who is that one? Whoever is involved, and then
so that's what the church
that
should
process,
have done.
The church should have actually taken advantage. Now, we've taken too long to act to an extent where one person is even late. And here now, look at the impact now it has created. What we see now, it is something that could have even been avoided a long time had the church acted then.
So the church is also...
So in a Christian nation...
The church is also...
Yes.
Contributed to all this.
Yes.
Rev, let's take some phone calls on the number 0956 2000490. 0956 2000490. Let's get your opinion and also what you have to say on today's topic. We are looking at national dialogue, but specifically just narrowing it in to what is happening in the country and everything that has to do with the death of the former president. Good morning. You are through to the program.
Good morning.
Yes, this is Christian Royce. Your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Jerry. I'm calling from Undora. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Thank you. As of yesterday in the media, we heard that there are 3 Christian church groups which had paid a cut score on the president. And according to the media, that they also agreed, if I may use that word, that they wanted the body of the former president to be buried here in Zambia. They wished the body could be buried in Zambia. Now, my surprise is that the same other bodies, I think previously what they said yesterday is not what they've been saying previously, individually, because yesterday we are told there are 3 at State House. Now when we get back individually, the way they were saying, the ZCCB, the what have you, all the evangelical, individually as another grouping, they were sharing different views that even in South Africa they could bury, so that the issue is what I mean.
Very quickly, very quickly.
The whole saga is over. What is your say, Reverend? Thank you.
Okay, what is your say on the conflicting? According to him, he says the church mother bodies individually had a different message. Good morning, you are through to the program.
Yes, my brother, good morning.
Yes, good morning, your name and where are you calling us from?
Good morning, Pastor.
Morning, sir.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Number 1, was precious verify body of former president Alala Muchalo Republic of Zambia. Amuna Zambia once and I move name require former president Balale Muchalo Chavo. Take care of South, take care of Zambia. Lelo ichirengere chikankara sana temoto tunesha. Chako batali kufa. Washima popo watakuwa tumanjona kwa wati. Inchira kula yako isha yako mweo. Tufego sto ya isha yako mweo. Ona sasa la kusa nisho wata nani. Wata nebo te imweyo. Number 1, not to focus on former president, rather than to current president. Tawaringe wa parliament kuku watakuwa taifu. Tawaringe wa parliament kuku body yabo. Why tuna giri current president ya church imesha kasangweko. Leo tuwaringe kushika pamande basi chinjafe ukula sana kuya kutindia mpoko ile pote. Leo wa Kenya. Watu wanso ba current president wa shirifai ukula tumuzi wa former president tulale mchache cha Zambia. Nataka watueleza bodi ya balungu wa mchache cha Zambia. Na bali konka watu ne itipanga no chipanga no.
Okay.
So, nilichota kwa tueleza muone mrenda pale dialogue tuende pale dialogue wangu nafwa. Then family yako alunga genga ikala kukosi. Ni dialogue ya musango shani. Woni mungi munda na totera.
Okay. Good morning, you are through to the program.
Yeah, you are talking to Vashimagi within Lusaka.
Yes, Vashimagi, go ahead with the contribution.
Yeah, Vashimagi, popular known as the Morgan Chilonda Plaza Morgan.
Yes, go ahead with the contribution.
Good morning, all the crew and the guests there.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, for me, the minutes start now. I think what I'm saying, it will be very embarrassment to bury the president outside the country. The president was not in exile. Exile is somebody who ran away through the crime and go sit to some other countries. But the president went to the medication. And now, all the president lied here at embassy, there at Ministry of Defense, which we had. And he was the former head of state and commander-in-chief. And for us to be imbalanced in the whole world on map, and Zambia is a Christian nation, and which was also the quote as a democratic country and somebody who's going to lie outside, what's the purpose and what's the stance of this country? So the point, what I'm saying, quickly point out, is that we wish us as a Zambian so that the board could lie here instead of lie from foreign country, instead of lying in Zambia. What was the problem? And we still have immunity. So for us, I think, as a Christian nation, we were begging that the family could understand and bring it. But we saw in an example in Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe lied in his village. President Dos Santos lied and he stopped the president to come and see. He said, there's nothing wrong. If your president says, okay, I'm gonna not come to see the body. Okay, the vice president go and attend. The family says so. It's not a problem. So for us, what we want is a peace, and the president come and lie in Zambia. I thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Brother Morgan. Let's get one more call, and then you respond to this. Good morning. You are through to the program.
Good morning, Angel.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from? Yes, Vashimalan.
Bishop, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Nana mumona ili ashidi on page. Kwa position ntima government yetu. Kwa government yetu nasakwa watu ishapa safety. Ngabadi mfide ba family kintu wale kwa. Ngata kufikire kuna kuni. So fionze kwa tumwenisha mofu mtano chechi cha Zambia. Makamaka ba bishop kwa jando kwa tiba chechi nabo. Mulimu likirisha. Ba chechi cha pa number 1 ito linga kwa tomweo. Ngabadi yeka likilana nishani panishi bino bino. Atapadi fionze. Nombe ko fiasco utari. Defa kaya kwa watu wasana wewe ni kanga va tutaji kwa dikwa kwini barishika tapani kwa yao. So takwe watu muntu arepema bale mutusha bale mutukensele abantu bonse bayikerezezi irelo no bese barani ko bati yafo muntu no bapoketumba bashike awo kya chupefi ndisho ero ngataka ati mu family nataka watu mwalekerese omuntu alero wala mule mutamba tokana musiro muti ero ya ero mhaisa wala mitunganya abantu ko bati baroshaba ebayipe mamuni. So please government if you treat the ITF abe ngwa muntu wati decide kuntu barashika omuntu munabo
Alright.
Kwati yo government bakatupa makao muntu wa family ekwati alwa alipata Mungu mkanya toke.
All right, thank you so much, Vashimalan, for your contribution. Maybe you could respond to those,
Thank you very much.
Rev, and then we'll get to another set of round, of course.
Thank you very much, Angel. To begin with, Mr. Jele, Vash Precious, Mr. Chilonda, and Vashimalan, thank you very much for your comments. And all I can say is that in one or the other, it appears all of us we are agreeing on one thing. If you take what Jele said, it's equally talking about the church mother bodies, and his disappointment is that these are the people who've said, no, we've reached out, we've gone to see the head of state. In the end, the position that the area showed, individually now they start talking about totally different things, and it is really confusing. And I'm sure that's the thing that I talked about, that we need to take leave. Maybe then because the social media was not there when our forefathers were there. If you read not only Komakoma's book and what he has actually documented on how these things went, I've actually sat down with one of those, the Reverend Kingsley Mwenda, may he so rest in peace, who used to be Christian Council of Zambia General Secretary at some point, I think in the 80s and 70s. And the Reverend Japhet Njov, when you listen from them and how they used to do these things, how they reached consensus and how they could toe one line. And you could hear how this prophetically they were. Even the state, you remember when Mwanawasa was about to do the constitution and whatever, the stance that they took. When you heard a Catholic priest speak, you hear CCZ speak, a minister in the UCZ speak, an Anglican priest, you'll be like they are reading the same script. Because at that point, they would come together. All of them, they will think through pastorally together, and then by the inspiration of God, they also discern what would God actually do and Christ in this particular. Then, that being the case, what are the people saying on the ground? Because we're the ones that passed the rich, the poor, the humble, and whoever you can mention, and we listen from their sentiments and we see how they live their lives daily. So that's how they came up with the positions, and I don't know how they come up with positions now, if at all what Wajele has said is what is obtaining. And we equally see it, that today they've issued a statement together. Tomorrow you hear one of them actually goes and says things contrary to what is ought to be said. I think we can do better. And the church in that regard, I think it needs to provide leadership. Yeah. And then not only that, when you go to Bishop Precious, who's saying the body should come here, is equally just agreeing with all of us. And in my preamble, the first statement I made, it's really unfortunate that it has actually come to a point where they are burying in South Africa. How I wish, my wish would have been, is buried in this country. And like I told you I related with him on one-on-one. I think being buried here and also being in attendance, it would have been a very good thing to see. And many more Zambians that he really saved. Yeah. Mr. Chilonda equally is also talking about, no, I think it wouldn't also augur well that he is buried like a fugitive or a person who could have run away from the country. I think we should have all resolved whatever is the impasse to make sure that he sleeps in this country. Vashmarani is also casting a blame both on the government and the church that they should have been a bit proactive to make sure that at least the impasse is dealt with and we have a desirable result at the end of the day. I think all these, I'm sure we are all agreeing. And when people call like this, definitely you know that cutting across, no one would support the idea of burning outside the country. But we've been found in circumstances where certain things happen beyond our control. There are things that we cannot control, especially if everyone is saying the family has a right actually over the body and making certain decisions. I think our also authority will end somewhere. However, you heard what I said. That's where now, as who pastor people closely, our responsibility comes in. I told you in theology, we talk about public morality. If we are to do this angel, you walked naked, publicly, morally, what will that actually entail? It's not about you having your rights to say, I can walk like this, but in the public eye, what will that bring? So like they say, where your rights end, other people's rights also start from there. So you need also to take care of that when you do something.
Okay, let's get another round of calls, about 4 calls, and then we wrap up. So you can call us on the number 0956-200-490. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Vincent calling from Ndola.
Mr. Vincent from Ndola.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, we're fine. Anyway, Reverend, we are hearing what you are saying, and I'm sure I think we are being to be engaged at the first stage. I think things would have been okay. But Reverend, as you said, this was the time for finger pointing to say which political are you or which political are you. We need to look at the important situation that has occurred, the important bad and sorrowful story that has been occurred in our country. You know, we are not happy as a country. What shall I ask you? We will not even be happy to see the former head of state being buried in South Africa. We wanted to give him the good farewell. So we would like him to be buried in our country, in his own home soil, where he led people for 7 years. Now, Pastor, we know that the time is not yet over. Why can't you find time to organize with some more church mother bodies, organize and find the 3 leaders to talk to go to the president, talk to him, go to the family, talk to them. That this issue be solved amicably. We know the most important thing is here. It's political. Political is the biggest thing which is in this thing. It's not all about the family. No. Politics is the only thing that they have chosen as people who are on plant there. Because others, they want the thing that can make them communicate, they have done good, why they are doing wrong. As you earlier said, and I heard you saying There are some advice, there are some words the politicians give, either positive or negative. So in this matter of our former head of state, our ex-president, Dr. Edgar Lungu, there is a negative advice from politicians. And we would like to see you, Church, to just, don't just follow the family alone. Follow it in the party where the former president belongs.
Okay.
Talk to them.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vincent, for your contribution. Really appreciate and great to know that you are tuned in. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Good morning.
Yes, your name and where you calling us from?
This is Stevens calling you from Livingston.
Okay, very quickly, Stevens, 60 seconds.
Yeah, I think the mistake is it was at first. There is no way you can start resolving issues after that person died. Okay? And when that person was still alive, it seems like there was no, good relationship. Before and when he spoke those words, no one took a step so that to sort out that issue. Why have you said this? Or panene anamba kudwala. Abo bantu maybe not even a single day to visit that person, not until he died. Then how come today they try to use something like a law so that they can, spearhead that funeral? No. Let the family do what is right, to their side.
Okay.
And following what the deceased say.
All right.
Simple.
All right.
If
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay,
Thank you
if
so
somebody
much,
has been-
Stevens. We'll have to let you go because we're running out of time, but thank you so much. Let's squeeze in 2 more calls before we wrap up. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is the General Scopo calling from Livingston, Simonga.
Yes, General Scopo, go ahead with the contribution.
Yes, it is so sad so that this funeral, it is driven by some politicians, both in the ruling and the PF. Because we should unite. That man was full-time a Zambian, and we still need him, we still love him. He should come and be buried here in Zambia. Then secondly, I heard a second caller say he wrote a letter which says he doesn't want the current president to attend the funeral, and that letter was delivered to the president. I'm sure the pastor maybe can help me on that one. How
Okay.
is that story?
Okay.
Because it's not good to say that people can be prosecuted after the burials. No. We should unite. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Let's get our last caller. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Pastor Favor calling from within Lusaka.
Pastor Favor, go ahead with the contribution.
Yes, good morning, man of God there.
Morning, sir.
Yes, sir. The issue, ishtabari kwetesana lo nabashima tukage icyalo cyo cyagenda kuko batibenga kaciyanya barashanya chapa muri basino masho cyari bana nguri mu mwanda muri shupana mu mwanda no mwana kashi yafikiri ashukwi family ko bati abantu barashupana iyo umufi afuma kufira shupa cyari cyashupa sana. So what we want today is that tibashikire umubiri wakwa kateka ukutadi. We all need that the body should come. Because we are shaking our money. Number family kaidi urupwa bali urupwa ero bafira watu wakonka fesho polore fire. Bafira wakonka fesho polore fire. Pangolanda tibashikire kudia. Katishman, I don't know, but the truth is that this is very painful. This is very sad for our land and our country.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Pastor Favor. We really appreciate you coming through. With your indulgence, Rev, just the last caller.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Thank you so much. Good morning, panelists.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Auntie Dorothy, a senior citizen from Lusaka.
Very quickly, 60 seconds.
Oh, quickly. What I want to say, if when we look at the body of Christ, even in the churches, these men and women of God, they fail to reconcile members
Can they manage to reconcile head of state? Let's go back to the basics of our Christianity so that we surrender and do the right things. Finally, I, for one, as a senior citizen, my prayer and my hope, I will say the truth, I support UPND and I support my president. My president is a very humble president and ever listening. But you see, people are so bitter about this president who has brought good things in this land. Even him is crying, the body should be buried here. But you know what we have heard. No, people wanted to go and steal the body. People are all propaganda. Why are we doing that? We all would have loved that body to be buried here. But if the family insists in South Africa, let him be buried there. Thank you. So that we move forward.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Quickly, let me just peruse through some of the text messages that have been coming on our Facebook page. Let me do that real quick. This one says, Suwilo Lewis says, Reverend Lodwell Siame is truly a man of God, and his words are rich and very wise. Thank you, sir, and God bless you with good health. Thank you so much. Paul Mbewe says, my good Rev, Bashikulu Bandi, please help us bring back the lost unity, love, and peace for our beloved mother, Zambia. Zambia is in need of your reasonable voice. Thank you so much. Perez says, good morning to you. Very true. When we hear the tone of the other party which is in government, it's not toning down, and it is not the idea of that. As for me, I've been praying for peace, miracles, grace, favor, love, more of love which accompanies peace, and at the end, harmony and joy that comes. So many scriptures that he's given us. But he says, I urge you, brothers, to watch out for those who cause divisions and put obstacles in your way that are contrary to the teachings you have learned. Keep them away. Romans chapter 16, verse 18. Thank you so much. Eddie says, good morning, well spoken, my bishop. I shudder to think what has led us to this situation. Thank you so much. Clement Kangwa says, His Grace, Lusaka 1. Thank you so much for your contribution. All right, Rev, you only have about 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
4 minutes to respond to all those.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Vincent from Undola. We are grateful to Mr. Stevens, Livingstone, General Scopo Mongu, Pastor Favor in Lusaka, and the only female caller for today, Dorothy, the senior citizen of Lusaka, for all the compliments. Not compliments, for all the comments that you've made. And like the first people, what they said, we are all, I think, speaking the same language, apart from the senior citizen who has said, no, let them just bury in South Africa
for the sake
of us moving forward, because politically, I think she's also tired to see the propaganda this side and these other things. And of course, she has nailed it, where she says, sometimes us pastors, we are lacking capacity to reconcile. In fact, our failure is seen even at a local church, where we sometimes fail to reconcile even our own members. So if you scale your skills up to a larger, at a stage where you need to sit the head of state here and here, how can they even do it? It becomes difficult. So I think we've unnecessarily put ourselves in this particular situation where people can even doubt what we are capable of doing. Because like I've said earlier on, I think what we see today, it should have been avoided a long time ago. Us as a church, we had actually the whole time in the world to would have dealt with the issues that we are grappling with today. Now that it has happened, going forward, I agree with Vincent that the whole time is not lost. I think it's him who talked about time is not all lost. The church needs to get organized, because even after we bury, we are not saying these issues are going to end. I'm sure let's now see to it that we genuinely bring these, I don't know whether I'll call them the warring factions together, or these people with different positions on how to govern this country, where we see them do things the way they are doing them. I think it's high time that we reconciled and we started tolling that part. Unfortunately for you, Vincent, there is no minister at this stage that can even now call for that reconciliation. The matter has gone to court. That would be contemptuous. It's unfortunate. And Stephen from Livingstone, of course, the things that he has talked about are things that I've been talking about. We should have avoided this time a long time ago. We should have not been talking about reconciliation after he's even dead. General Scopo also is saddened by the fact that he's being buried outside. How he also wishes that he was buried in this country. Pastor from Lusaka also is speaking the same language of dialogue, and also emphasize on the fact that he should have loved to see him buried. But he also concedes that at the end of the day, the family has a final say. Sure.
One last text message here that says, good morning, Rev and Mr. Kasabo. What is difficult for the current president to allow the body to come, if not for anything else, but for the sake of peace and unity? NZ. Thank you so much, NZ, for this particular text message. Maybe to couple it off with this text message, and also maybe even as you conclude, Rev, even up to now, I'm just checking with information. It seems the hearing is ongoing in South Africa, not yet information that has filtered through. But regardless of whatever is going to come out from the courts, it's even now very difficult to say, to put words together.
Yeah.
But how do we move on? How do we move forward as a country after everything is said and done? Because in all honesty, we don't know what's going to come from the courts. We don't know if there's going to be a delay. But as things stand, mourners are in South Africa awaiting for this particular process to be done. The mourners that have gone there to attend the funeral, they know that the burial is today. But there's this issue now that is in court. But then how do we move forward as a country after everything is said and done?
Thank you very much. The first thing, again, I will repeat what I said. We had 2 weeks. It's now 2 weeks since the 6th Republican president passed on. I'm sure, like I said earlier on, when the first engagement was done, we came to a stalemate where the family is saying, no, we are not even repatriating. At that stage, even before the announcement of cutting short of the national mourning, how I wish, before the head of state came there, those who are unders of the president and the advisors, they should have said, let's try one more. Do
you think those are also tiny issues that...
Yeah, maybe we cannot also blame them.
Not say, after all, you've cancelled.
You cannot also blame them, because even us, where we work, we are leaders. We have these people who are advisors. There comes a time when you've even made a mistake. And that's when they say, sorry, Bishop, I've failed you. How I wish that day I had mentioned, because I was feeling maybe to tell you this. How I wish I said it. But if you never said it, I've already made a mistake. We also find ourselves in the situations where the situation demands that you act fast. So by acting fast, sometimes that's when you see your tenants are saying, your colleagues are saying, Bishop, sorry, had I told you in that meeting to say, maybe we go this route, we would have avoided what has come. So we cannot cry over spilled milk. But my wish is that at that stage, as they were crafting his speech, how I wish one of them could have remembered to say, no, why not try once more? Maybe this time around, go and pick maybe Bishop from Bread of Life, pick Lusaka Bishop, come. It's not about what we could have thought. What about this one, the feelings of this one? This is what is at stake. Me as head of state, I think. It's the integrity of the country, the unity of the country, which we all cherish and we need. So you being readers, I'm sure now me, I'm an economist, politician, whatever, when it comes to issues of spirituality and people that can speak in people's lives at this stage, I think the Rungus need people to speak to. You are my emissaries. Let it not go to the press. You talk. Maybe by the time we are coming to 2 weeks, other things, I'm saying maybe, other things could have come out of that. But unfortunately, we've found ourselves in a situation where all this time we keep quiet. People are saying we are burying in South Africa, we've kept quiet. The day when they're about to bury and we hear people are in South Africa, and then you say the matter has gone to court. Even if you come with a desirable where they say go and bury this side, for me, I can see the backlash that maybe may even complicate these things more than we look at them. Because the only thing that personally I feel that may bring now us into more confusion is when the family says, okay, we've surrendered. The court has said, government take over. We will not be part of this. What happens? What happens at that stage?
Rev, thank you so much for coming through on today's edition of Chatback. But we'll have to leave it there because of time.
You have to, we need to pray, and I urge all my countrymen out there, the head of state, the Lungu family, Patriotic Front, UPND, and Tonse, and everybody, that my dear brothers and sisters in Christ, we are praying for you, and we are looking at things as they unfold. Should you need help from the church, please don't hesitate. We have many people, us, even if you don't trust us, we have people that if we take you today to say, just speak this one and this one, most of the problems that we are facing in the country are problems that you can solve within a minute. But remember that we are brothers and sisters. Let us not emphasize on our differences. God, in his design, in his wisdom, he wanted us to be who we are, to speak the languages we speak, to think the way we think, to have the variety we have. But in all this diversity, we need to appreciate that we are all human beings. Let's treat each other with dignity and uphold the constitutional values of this country, where we respect each other and respect the rights of other people. And let's just love one another and let love lead. Let this country heal one day. Let's embrace each other. And we need to see you politicians even dance together, drink together, and eat together. And then that kind of atmosphere, if it comes down in our communities, in our compounds, we shall have a better Zambia. And for you, with the privileges to be a pastor, a bishop, never show a partisan stance. Even if deep down in your heart you know you support this person, don't come out in open and make your position known. Because once your position is known, the danger is, even when you are needed to do something, people will not trust you.
Bishop, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming through. And we really appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody that called, texted. This is where we come to the end of the program. Up next, we do have the news brief. Just after that, Chipo comes on with today's edition of Lifestyle. Good morning.